Hi guys, it's Sunday here, so it's time for my one take. Baby girl is sleeping and Brian and Ruben are off for their weekly Walmart trip they do every Sunday, giving me time to vlog and make videos and edit things and have relaxing time. So today I would talk about things I think are wrong in parenting or just in life in general. So these are things that I think nobody should do, that I think are black and white issues and that I think are completely wrong, and I will explain why. So one of the first things that I think is completely wrong and that no one should ever do is allow your child to cry it out. And a lot of people use this thing called the cry it out method for sleep training, where you basically put your child in a room at a certain developmental age, like some people do 2 months, 3 months, 8 months. You put your child in a room, you put them in bed, and you close the door and you say, it's time that you learn how to self-soothe and cry. You let them basically cry all night until they fall asleep. And I do not understand why people do this. Babies cry for a reason. You may think, oh, well, I changed and I fed my baby and I cuddled them, so they have no other reason to cry. And what people don't understand is that babies and children have emotional and mental needs. And there's nothing wrong with a baby needing you to be next to them. There's nothing wrong with that. Healthy attachments are good for children. They build trust. And another thing is we as parents need to teach our children. We have to teach them how to do things. So I teach my child how to eat healthy. I teach them how to use the bathroom. I never stick my child in a room with a toilet and have them self-learn how to use the bathroom. And if we're teaching our children how to achieve milestones, why all of a sudden do we just expect them to self-learn something like sleeping through the night? I think sleeping through the night is developmental, just like walking and crawling. And I don't believe you should ever allow your child to just cry without you. I think our society has a lot of mental health problems and mental health issues because we basically have abandoned our children from a very young age and taught them that for my adult convenience, you have to sleep through the night. I understand that sleep is hard. It's hard to go without sleep as a parent, but I am the only person that can comfort and be there for my son besides my husband, Brian. That's my job as a parent, is to be there for him, to teach him, and to bring him up, to help him grow into an adult. I would never say, oh, look, my husband, you're crying, you need to go in a room. I wouldn't use the cry it out method if my son fell down and bruised his knee. I wouldn't be like, oh, you need to learn how to self-soothe. In any other realm of his life, if he was crying, I wouldn't just stick him in a room and close the door and tell him to self-soothe. So why do we do that to our children when they need to sleep? It just boggles my mind, and I think cry it out is completely and utterly wrong. There are gentle ways to sleep train. You can sleep train your child and they don't have to cry all night. So that is one of my biggest pet peeves, and I am really sorry if this is pressing your buttons. It's just very important to me that we are there mentally and emotionally for our children. And crying is the only thing a baby knows how to do to get their mother's attention. And if you don't respond to that, you're basically breaking your child and you're breaking their trust. And I think that's wrong. Now, for obvious reasons, I think abusing your child is wrong. Neglecting your child is wrong. I mean, those are things that everyone would think is completely wrong. But what I'm talking about in this video are just things that I think are very black and white issues and that everyone should really see eye to eye on, but for some reason we don't, and it's confusing to me. So the second thing that I think is completely and utterly wrong is requiring by law any vaccines or any sort of medical procedure. I don't care where you stand on vaccines, if you think they're good or if you think they're evil. The government and lawmakers should never, ever, ever mandate vaccines. So vaccines should always be parent choice or personal body choice. So for example, I should get to choose what goes in my body. I should get to choose what kinds of foods I eat, what kinds of medicine I take. I should be able to go to the doctor and say, you know, I like what you're telling me, and I think that you have laid a good plan of action, but I'm going to go with a more natural approach. Or I think, you know, you should be able to tell a friend who gives you advice about medicine and stuff. No, I'm going to go with what my doctor says and take the antibiotic. I think it should be my choice what I put in my body. And also for that, I think it should be my choice what I put in my child's body. I'm his parent, and I know his body better than any doctor, no matter how much you've studied can, because I am with him every day. I see him. I've studied him. I have his health, his best health interest in mind. Now, I also know that I don't have a doctor's degree, and that's why I go to a doctor. I don't go to a doctor because I think they're God and that they know everything and that they're going to just make everything perfectly fine and that they have all the right answers. I go to a doctor to learn more about what my child might need, and then after I research and garner all the information, I make an informed decision. And I think that same thing, that same issue should apply to vaccines. If you think vaccines are great, then go ahead, vaccinate your children, vaccinate yourself. If you don't like vaccines, you should be given that same option. I also think a medical exemption should hold the same weight as a religious exemption. A medical exemption says, I am medically unable to be vaccinated because something in the vaccines causes my body to go crazy, anaphylactic shock, death, that sort of thing. A religious exemption says, religiously, I have a deep religious belief that these vaccines are wrong, and it would go against my religious morals to use them. Both of those are extremely valid reasons. I would never say, you know, think about it this way. Someone has a medical reason to wear a wig because they had chemo or something. I know this isn't really on the same level as a vaccine, but their medical reason to wear a wig should be just as important as someone's religious reason as a Muslim or a different religion. Even some Christians cover their heads. The medical reason and the religious reasons are treated the same in almost every case, like in the workplace and stuff like that. So I don't understand why a lot of people who are for vaccines to be mandated are okay with medical reasons to not vaccinate, but they're not okay with religious reasons, because to me those two things hold the same weight. Furthermore, there is also the point that if you have a medical reason not to vaccinate, like say you have a medical exemption, you have to have had a reaction to a vaccine in order to get that medical exemption. So you have to have already be damaged, vaccine damaged, in order to get that exemption. They don't just give it to you because you think that you might be allergic to it or something. So that is why I'm okay with people vaccinating. I'm okay with people not vaccinating. I am okay with people basically doing whatever, but I think it's completely and utterly baffling and wrong for someone to be completely for mandated vaccines, because the government should not. The government is not a doctor. The government can't say, oh, I know what is best for all the people in America. Let families make those decisions for their children. Families know what's best for their children. So let families work together with their own doctors and their own physicians to come to decisions like that. And I think that's really, really important. Okay, so those are my really two pet peeves that I really think are completely wrong, and I don't understand why anyone could ever be for those or use those types of things. But I'm going to get down off my soapbox now and go play with my little boy when he gets back from Walmart, and leave me a comment if you would like to have a very low-key, very open and healthy and non-angry debate with me in the comments, because I love talking, I love chatting, and I like talking about sensitive subjects too. So if you're that kind of person like me and you're not going to get your panties in a wad, let's chat. Bye.